Hey YouTube, it's Domino again. Um, I've mentioned so many times in my past videos that I was gonna kind of tell you my life story, and I've been struggling with where to start or what parts to uh, tap into or touch on or talk about. Um, so I think what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna start from the beginning, from day one, and give you as much as I can remember to as far as what I've been through, the sequence of my life, the series of events that I've experienced. So here we go. I was born in L.A. County, down in Van Nuys, which is, to the best of my understanding, somewhere around Beverly Hills, Hollywood area. My mother was, from what I've been told and what I've gathered over the years, information as far as information about her. I never knew her. She had issues. She was. I don't. I'm afraid. I'm not sure how to say it because I don't want to cast judgment, but she was very alcoholic. From again what I was told. She had what they called borderline paranoid schizophrenia, and probably other things as well, probably other mental health issues. Basically, she was not in a good state of mind for the first. I don't know how long I was in her guardianship or care, as it were, legally. But if I had to wager a guess, I'd say maybe a year or two before I was sent to foster care, and then on to adoption from there. So yeah, I was born in Van Nuys. My mother was an aspiring, I assume, aspiring actress. She had supposedly been involved in a few titles that you might recognize. I won't get into that right now, but there's someone coming. Hold on. I'll be right back. Anyway, so yeah, she was a beauty contestant in Denver in her growing up years. After immigrating from Hungary at the end of World War II. Anyway, distractions. Some guys trying to cross the creek here on a. Holy shit, that was a big fucking bird. What the hell was that? Goddamn crow was like the size of a truck. Anyway, this guy down here he's trying to cross the creek on a 2x4 plank stretched across the water. And I was on a bike, and I'm just sitting there thinking he's gonna splash himself. He's gonna get splashed, but he bailed out and didn't try it. Now he's fucking around with something. I don't know. Anyway, mother. Yeah. So she. Yeah, she immigrated from Hungary during the end of World War II, back in the was it mid '60s or not '60s, not '60s. Fuck, what am I thinking? No, '40s. Um, she was, I think she was around her teen years at that time, early teen years. Um, anyway, yeah, so she was a aspiring Hollywood character of some sort. That was what she wanted. From what I gathered, that's what she wanted to do, and it never panned out for her. But yeah, so she was drunk and sleeping, going out sleeping with all kinds of people all the time. She had been married to some. It is not racist. I'm not saying it's racist, but she was married to a Jewish guy. I had a kid with him who is my. I've never met this guy. I've heard plenty of stories about him too, my oldest half brother, and that was the only quote unquote legitimate child she had with anybody. Myself, my other brother, are bastard children, which who gives a fuck, but just clarification on that. And so then that's kind of the background, like a little bit of a background on her. Not much, but enough to give you an idea of where I came from in that regard. And then I went on to foster care with a family out of Pasadena, I think, the Dantzler family. One of them, if you look up where was it at? There's a boy. I think it was in Pasadena. There was actually the Boys and Girls Club back in the '80s, 70s and '80s. Way back when, during all the riots and shit in LA, the Watts riots and then the Rodney King riots and all that shit. So they were in Pasadena. This Boys and Girls Club. The brother of my foster father was the managing director of this Boys and Girls Club during both of those riots, and what was Lou Dantzler, I think. I forget if that was my foster father or if that was the brother of this guy. Anyway, I was there. I assume for a couple of years. Again, first 2 years probably, with my biological mother, and then foster care for the next 2 years. Where in my fourth year, I don't know what the date and time was on that, but my adopted family or parents came and started the process of adopting me and my second oldest half brother, who I grew up with, my whole life. They kept us together, the two of us together. The other one was about the same age as my adopted mother, so I never knew him, and he was living his life at that point. Old and adult and on his own. He was a piece of work, not a good guy from what I heard. Criminal. I've got a record too, so no judgment there. But he was a different kind of fucked up. Let's put it that way. And just not a good guy from what I heard from later sources. I'll get into that at some point. So yeah, when I was adopted by my family, and they moved me to Long Beach, where they were living. They had a kid who died of SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome, or that's what they called it back then. I don't know if that's still the same term or what they call it now, but the child died in its sleep, and that really destroyed those two people. My parents, it really fucked them up, as it would, you can imagine. And so, and not to, I have a lot of, God damn it. I'm gonna find someplace else to sit, because there's just too much distraction here right now. It's driving me insane. I'll be back. Alright, I'm back. I had to travel a short bit of distance down outside of town here, because people were getting on my fucking nerves, and I couldn't focus on what I was trying to say when I was filming all these. Anyway, I won't go into that. I'll just say they were starting to irritate me. energetically and literally just being obnoxious. Uh, so anyway, back to what I was saying. My parents, their first child died of SIDS, and obviously, like I said, it was it fucked him up a lot, um, more than I ever could explain. And I was too young to understand back then. But I anyway, that my relationship with my parents, there's a lot of water under that bridge, to the point where eventually I had to burn that bridge and just tear it to ground, because it was too much between what they'd gone through and what I've been through and what they've been through and what I've done, vice versa and all that. And it's just, yeah, I had to cut them off, and anyway. Long Beach, yeah. They adopted me, and They moved me to Long Beach, my brother and I, and then not long after that, my oldest younger brother. I have 5 siblings, minus the one that died. That would have been 6. Uh, at least in my immediate adopted family, and so the next one that came along, my oldest younger brother. I won't go into names, but um, he was born, and then so he what is his age difference between me and him? Yeah, so I'll kind of get into that for later. So then my oldest younger sister, who was older than the other one, the brother that was born. It's a weird dynamic here. Just bear with me. She was adopted from another family entirely that were not related to any of us. I'm not related to my family, except my half brother. And then, biologically speaking, I'm not related to them. So she came along. She was adopted, or they started the process of adopting her as well. Maybe a year or two after they got me and my brother together, and then that was kind of it for a while. As far as kids went, that was it. It was just the 4 of us, and then we moved. My memory of where we went when we moved is kind of sketchy because Long Beach, and then I believe from there we moved up to I was in Oregon back in like '88. They adopted me at 4 years old. That was '87. So yeah, we moved from Long Beach to Oregon, to Klamath Falls, Oregon, for a period of a couple of years, and then back down to California to come on, brain, Lake Elsinore, Riverside area, Temecula, Hemet, Canyon Lake. It's a huge spot now, but back then it was very underdeveloped. It hadn't grown the way to the point where it is now. Obviously, it's been from that point. From that would have been the early '90s, I think, like 90, 92, 93. That would have been fuck. 95 was 30 years, almost 31 years ago for me. So there would have been like like 34 years, 35 years of my life right there in that short period of time, or between then and now. Excuse me. And I don't know why I'm telling you the timeline like it matters. Maybe it does, but here we are. Um, Train of thought. Um, California, yes. Riverside, Elsinore. Um, from there, and this is kind of the touchy part right here. This is where things kind of went downhill for us, as a family. And I mean, or started to. Um, the loss of that child really, again, I'm going back to that because it's relevant to this part of my past. There was some infidelity. I'll just put it that way. There was a church pastor involved, a unintended pregnancy that resulted in us being moved out to Arkansas back in shit. When was he born? Oh yeah, right. Okay, I missed my sister, my youngest sister, was born in Klamath Falls. So that was the fifth one there in the family, or I guess technically from here forward, I'm just gonna refer to the siblings, those of us in the family, me and my siblings, as the six of us, because the seventh one, into the road with that one. Not to be callous or cold-hearted, but he didn't survive, so that made it six. For ease of conversation, I'm going to just say that. So then my second sister, youngest one, was born in Klamath Falls, Oregon, and then we moved back down to California, and from there the cheating thing happened with between my parents and some other person. Like I said, someone of public respect, or up until then, anyways. And so that tore, it obviously the church, collapsed when that came out, and you can fill in the gaps. Moved to Arkansas. And then that sixth one, my youngest brother was born there. My adopted mother's child, with this pastor. And there's more around that situation, where emotionally where I was affected personally, but I'll get into that later. There was a bit of deep psychic trauma there for me, because of what I've been through already, in my life, and it shattered my sense of safety, of shelter, of security in the family, in the home, because coming from such a chaotic background already, having been, essentially neglected and abandoned by my biological mother for the bottle and for the Friday night special, barroom baby, whoever it was she was taking home on any given night. Right, where was I? Oh yeah, the pastor. So that whole situation really affected me on a spiritual level, because I was someone who needed a safe environment to grow up, and I didn't get it. Not I mean, I was taken care, I was provided for, financially, materially, but they just didn't give me the emotional safety I needed. There was a lot of anger and a lot of drinking in that family, and a lot of, dare I say it, violence, domestic abuse. Like, I have always have hated, I never wanted to call it that, but that's what it was. It was domestic abuse to me and to other people in my family. If there was any violence between my parents going on, I had never saw it. I never was aware of it. But it was almost like, oh, that's cool. Look at that. Bunch of pelicans not pelicans, cranes. Excuse me. Just flew overhead. I think there were 6 of them. Uh, yeah, there was nothing ever said, overtly or explicitly about any kind of marital violence between the two of them, but I always kind of had a feeling. I can't say again. I can't say for certainty that was true or not, but I always had a feeling that there might have been the way I was treated, the way everybody else was treated on occasion. More often than it should have been. Um, and if there wasn't, violence, physical violence, there was certainly a lot of verbal and emotional violence going on in that house. Uh, Psychological abuse, mental abuse. Uh, Hell, I would say that even at one point, once or twice in my life, with this family, that I I may have been kidnapped by my own adopted father once or twice because of their fighting with each other. Uh, I went to bed one night, normal night, any other night of the week kind of thing, and then all of a sudden, next thing I know, I'm waking up in the back of a camper, miles down the road, don't know where the fuck I'm at, and mom ain't there. Dad's driving off into the darkness, with the whole lot of us, or most of us. I don't know. I can't recall if we were all the kids were there or not, but I would imagine that we were, because it just doesn't make sense that they would only half of us would go, but or would have been taken with him. I don't know what happened there. Uh, yeah. Uh, I'm gonna make this pretty short here. So, so from I believe it was '95 is when we moved to. Was it? I was in 6th grade, no 5th grade in school there. My first year was 5th grade. Or was it? No, it was 4th grade. I'll have to double check that later, but it's either fourth or 5th grade in '95. Uh, I believe. It may have been '93. My timeline is a little bit wonky because traumatic, you know PTSD does that to you over that many years, 40 plus. Well, it wasn't 40 years at the time. It was 10 to 12, maybe 13 at that point. But I'm 43 years old now, and you can do the math on that. It was a lot. Anyway, so 93 to 95, I believe 95 was certainly my 6th grade year. I know that for sure. Uh, yeah, because there was Mr. Hernandez was my homeroom teacher, I think. So I was in, yeah, 2000 or 98, I think, was my freshman year of high school. 2001 was my graduation year. Uh, Joined the military shortly after 9/11 happened. I was asleep in bed when that happened. And I woke up to I was in an apartment at the time. My dad owned it, but I was in an apartment there, and I wake up to this loud banging on my door. My uncle next door to me, and he was living next to me for a while, and he's a piece of work. Fuck him, fuck that guy. But anyway, he was living next to me, and and bah, 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 hey, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up! Look at the towers, they're falling. Like, I turn on TV, and sure enough, just the world had turned upside down overnight. I was asleep, and the next thing I know, just everything was gone to shit. And so around 2004, I was immediately, Dad talked me, convinced me because, his exact words were, you would make me proud, me and my brother, my older brother. It's like you'd make me proud if you both joined the military, or something to that effect. Like, subtle manipulation of someone who was still very insecure and very unsure of himself and not knowing where to go in life, where I was going in life, not having a clue what I wanted because I was raised in such an environment of such projection all the time, made to feel like I was wrong in every way. Every time I tried to figure shit out or ask questions or reject things that didn't fit my worldview or my experience, and I was made to feel wrong, which is kind of sad. I mean, it made kind of my heart. I just felt my heart just sink a little bit, thinking about it. But them's the breaks, right? So yeah, 2001, 2004, I was delayed entry into the military for whatever reason. I guess they thought I needed to, get bigger, as it were, physically speaking, or more fit, which was not an unfair assessment. I was a scrawny little, twig, but I mean, I've always had a very certain or unshakable inner strength. In the physical sense, I'm not super strong and lifting cars or nothing, but I am built for, and this is kind of a tangent. I was built for the abuse that I took, that I received, all of it. Whether it was my family or classmates or strangers on the street or whatever. I was built to take the abuse. I had an unbreakable inner strength that people rarely, if ever, saw and never recognized for what it was. And even I didn't see it. For a long time, I didn't see it. I felt like I was a weak piece of shit and that I was just unworthy of everything and anyone. And I still struggle with that a little bit, but I've come so far, light years beyond that now. But anyway, so I served 2 years in the military, got caught up with some less than honest behavior. I'll put it that way. I got caught up in some trouble that I never asked for, but I guess I did by engaging in it. I kind of did, so I'm not gonna pass the buck here on that. But I got what I deserved. In the long run, the bill came due on that. And it was stupid, young and ignorant shit that I did. But nothing major, nothing serious. But still enough serious enough that the military decided they didn't want to keep me around. So 2 years and 2 months, some change into the military. I'd done boot camp and I did my secondary training after the boot camp, and then went to my duty station on the USS Underwood. You can look that up later. It's all online. Or what they did, what their role and their purpose was, militarily. Got kicked out. Did a little bit of time in the break for that little fiasco that I got caught up in. that was in Jacksonville, Florida, or off of the uh, St. John's, river channel, where the river flows out to the ocean. Right next to that is the base where that ship was stationed at. Um, so there was, I believe that was 2006 when I got out, and I had to figure out what I wanted to stay in Jacksonville and figure out my life. I had a love interest. I wasn't dating anyone, and this girl was stringing me along the whole time. She had some other guy in mind. I was smitten with her, and I know she knew, but she played me, and you know you know. I figured that one out pretty quick, but it was like I still, yeah, um, got dragged back to Arkansas on against my will. My dad insisted, you know, in a very fascistic, not give me a choice. As an adult, I was an adult at that point. I turned 21 in boot camp. To give you a frame of reference of the timeline there. I turned 21 in boot camp, so legal drinking age and all that fun shit. And then, so yeah, 23, 24 years old. I was dragged back to Arkansas, where I never wanted. I didn't want to go back there. I had such a long record of trauma there already in that place, that and the trauma for me was that I've always been an ocean baby. I belong next to the ocean. As you can see right here, I'm right next to the ocean. I belong here. Like this is my home. The ocean is my home. And they dragged me all the way out into the fucking mountains in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by rednecks and racists and backwards thinking people. Just unenlightened, unintelligent, not willing to evolve kinds of people. And it was oppressive emotionally and psychologically. They wanted me to change, but they didn't want to change themselves. They wanted me to be the bearer of all that bullshit, to be the one to carry all that. And it was never said. It was never implicitly stated, but I always felt it. Or explicitly stated. I always felt it implicitly. So, yeah, and I'm not saying all this to paint myself as some poor victim. Yes, I was, but I'm not coming at it from that point of view of you should feel sorry for me. Again, I've said it before. I don't want pity. I don't need it. That kind of mentality towards people makes them feel weak. It makes them feel unvaluable, and I don't need that. And nobody needs that. Pity makes people feel worthless. And pity and empathy and sympathy and compassion. Those are all different things. I could define them differently. I've done it before, but I won't bother right now. But pity is not a good thing, in my opinion. It's a toxic love type thing. It's I feel sorry for you, but I'm not going to help you. I'm not going to offer any kind of compassion here. I just feel sorry for you. Like, oh, you're in a bad place. Well, I hope it gets better for you. No, that doesn't fly. Like, if you care, show up, show out, prove it, say something that you actually mean. Do something you actually mean. Be the compassion that you're talking about. Don't just don't just gold star me with some I survived bullshit because of it. No. I'm not sure why I'm ranting about that, but I guess I feel passionate about that apparently. Anyway, so yeah, I spent the next. See, I left Arkansas formally, finally, for the last time. last year. Like I've been back and forth across the country as I've traveled, and on occasion, every now and then, I'd pass through there and stop and fuck around for a bit, and then I realized why I didn't know why I kept coming back to this place that had left so many scars on me. I had friends. I still have, great friends there. People I think of like as family. More so than my family. That's how close I am to them. That's how much I love those people. But yeah, so I ended up getting married, and I was married for I was there for, I went to massage school, got licensed, and for I don't know 4 to 6 years I was doing that unsuccessfully. I was putting in the work. It wasn't really profiting, it wasn't profitable for me, but and it was never really about the money for me. I mean, I needed the money, but I met my fiance that I ended up marrying back in, well, shit. That was '07 or '08, '09, I believe, when I met her. And don't ever let your high school sweetheart or 11 or something, like, this is another story. Like, I was in high school, I went to my local municipal high school, and then for ninth grade. My parents, being ill-equipped and ill-tempered to handle me, properly, to take care of me properly, they essentially at some point gave up on me. The video cut off. They packed me up. Okay, well, I'm going to cut this off here. My phone keeps trying to, cut off my recordings, and I have run out of space apparently, with no means of correcting that situation. So I'll finish up. I'll finish telling that story later. I'll make it part 2, because I just don't fucking care to be bothered with it right now. It's been hard enough trying to find a spot where I ain't being bothered by idiots running around all the time doing stupid shit that just pisses me off. So I'll be back later. Love y'all. I'll tell you more later. What was that? I don't know. Peace.